Oh, you have the regular link, by the way,
Huh?
or the same link what you sent me can be sent to anybody for them to.
No, no, that's just for us. So
Oh, you
we
have
are
a.
live, and we're going to give, as usual, a few minutes for my friends on Facebook and on YouTube to join us. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Boss Lady Live, Season 3. Can you imagine? It's Season 3 already. Happy New Year, because it's our first program for the new year. And we have two special guests tonight, but in a few minutes, I will introduce them personally. Tonight, we have a very, what should I say, under talked about and more cussed about topic. And so we want to bring a conversation to the topic of living gay in, well, Jamaica and the rest of the world, but for all intents and purposes, we live in Jamaica, so we are dealing with Jamaica. And for those of you who are joining me for the first time, the intent of this program is for us to live as better human beings, live better lives, have a better understanding of each other. I deal with topics that most people don't want to touch. I deal with topics that people, although they need the information, they don't seek the information. And so I try to bring the experts with the information to this forum. Sometimes it's an hour, sometimes it's extended, depending on the level of interaction with the viewers. So tonight I want to welcome my viewers who have been waiting for Boss Lady Live to start back. And tonight I have two wonderful guests. And I start with ladies first. And so I start with Antoinette Aiken. And we know her intimately from our living rooms, because she does sign language on our television. And I mean, almost everywhere that we go, we see her doing sign language. And Sekou, we may not know him. Those of us who used to go to Spartan know him quite well. Plus, he's a client of mine. And so we want to introduce them. Well, they will introduce themselves formally, to just tell you a little bit about themselves. Now, I want to say I did absolutely no research for this program, and there's a reason for that. This is a personal interest story, and I did not want my information to be bombarded, or what I'm going to learn in this program to be bombarded with what persons say or what persons have written, or all the different. We're talking about two persons that have an experience that many of us do not understand, and many persons have a lot to say about what they don't understand. Speaking as a breast cancer survivor, I can speak intimately on the subject because I've lived it. And so I like to speak on persons who have lived a particular situation or scenario, and so they can bring their personal experience to it, because I personally feel that you get a better understanding. No, we are not, we are open to questions, and as I asked in my video, when I promote this program, because I know persons are very passionate about this subject, that whatever you say or ask, you say in kindness, and you say with a view to learn. We're here to learn. This is not a program that carries sus or salacious information. We're not that type of program. We're a program to educate and to inform. So with that, I'd like to start with Antoinette. Antoinette, welcome to Boss Lady Live.
Hi. How are
And I just
you?
want to thank you so much for I didn't have to ask twice. You were willingly accepted, and I'm very heartened by that. And so I just want to say thank you very much. And
Hmm.
Sekou, welcome. I don't know why you're making up your face like that. I think
I'm trying to fix this camera situation.
it's Sekou Samuels, and he listed his name as athlete, his profession as athlete, um
Junior architect.
oh, you're an architect. Okay,
Yeah.
all
Junior
right. So
architect. It's
junior.
different. Yeah, it can't say
Yeah.
architect. I'm not registered.
Oh, you tell us a little bit from now what that means. So we're gonna start with you, Antoinette. Just tell us a little bit about your background, what you're doing now, and pretty much we're not gonna get into it. I just want to have an overview of who you are. Let's talk a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and your life to this point. In
A
a
minute.
minute.
Okay. S I'm going to sign just in case deaf people are
Right.
listening. That's fine.
Fabulous. Thank you.
Um, so I'm Antoinette Aiken, officially on my birth certificate, but I'm also known as Tony. Um, I grew up in Kingston, Jamaica. I have three deaf parents. Uh, Hence why I'm an interpreter, because I'm a coder, which is a child of deaf adults. I've been
Right.
in business for about 14 years now, professionally, but I've been signing my whole life, which is 32 years. So basically, that's it. Nothing else than
In a
that.
nutshell.
It's
In
short
a
and sweet.
nutshell.
I
Short and
can't compete
sweet.
with that.
Huh?
I can't compete with that.
What?
You
No,
can.
man. We're not
Oh,
competing. You go right ahead.
all right. I'm Shamari Samuels officially on my birth certificate, but I go by my middle name, Sekou Samuels. I'm a junior architect and I also compete in the amateur bodybuilding competitions in Jamaica.
Cool.
Anything
Okay.
more? I'm a senior designer in my firm and look for a bright future.
Awesome. All right. So tonight we're here to speak specifically on your
I beg in a favor though.
yes.
You can send me the link to regular viewers. I want you to send it to somebody.
Okay. So for those
Over.
who want to join us, you can either join us on Facebook or on YouTube. So it's on YouTube. It's www.youtube.com/the totally male, and you'll see us in the feed. If they're having a challenge with that, you can
Mhm.
also see it on Facebook Live on either totallymalespa.com, that's on Facebook, or on my personal page, which is Samuels, Samuels, Sandra, and that's on Facebook Live as well. We're live on the three platforms.
So it's www.youtube
YouTube,
forward.
youtube.com forward
Okay.
slash
Uh-huh.
the totally male.
Okay.
Yes?
Thanks. Yes.
Yes. Welcome, Cedric. Nice to have you. Yes. So this evening we would like to speak a little bit about growing up labeled as gay in Jamaica. Well, I'm speaking in Jamaica because that's where that's primary our audience right now. I want for you to go back to just give us a little overview as when did you know that you were, well, for what all intents and purposes, different? Um, you felt, and you can explain because I don't know the proper language, and as I'm learning also as we go along in this program. So, Antoinette, you can start because I would like to know what the ups and downs, challenges you know, speaking to your parents about it, all of that. We just want an overview as to what your experiences are or
Oh,
were.
so you want all of that now?
All of that, all of that. Because we have many people, some people may be watching and having a situation where they might be having a challenge speaking to their parents or their guardian or whomever or even their friends. So I want to know how you navigated that. Was it a challenge for you? Was it easy for you? Did your parents make it easy for you? Just start from ground zero coming up so we have a better understanding of what it is like so we can, you know, understand.
That's a long story right there.
It's
Yeah,
a long story, but
that's why I said you want
I
all
know
of
you
that
can
now.
synopsis in the book version. So
Okay.
we're gonna start with you again, Antoinette.
Okay. So my parents, as I said, were deaf. So we all know that information. So I found out, well, I wouldn't say found out. I would say I know I was different from preschool. So that's
Right.
between ages of 3 to 6, thereabout. And I would also say that um I never got the opportunity to tell my parents myself. So that's the first.
Okay.
My aunt did that for me. I never got the opportunity to communicate and let my parents know, hey, this is how I was feeling, or this is me, really me, and it's not a
Is it
choice.
that your aunt, you had a conversation with your aunt, or your aunt thought it necessary? Okay, let
No, I never had a conversation with my aunt. So let me go back a little bit. So
right,
after preschool, going to prep school, mingling, I was on the boys' football team. Um, I graduated, went to an all girls high school, which is perfect for somebody like me, right? I went
right,
to all girls high school, immaculate. I went there. That was a whole ordeal because going to immaculate requires you to be a lady, and
right,
I'm not necessarily ladylike.
right.
Just for your information, I'm also a trans man, so
Oh,
just letting you know.
right.
So when I went to immaculate, I
And when
was
you say a trans man, for those of us who don't know what that means, because we're going to break it down, because most of us really have no knowledge, because we've never sought the knowledge, we don't know, so we are learning from you. When you say
okay.
you're a trans man, what exactly does that mean?
So as a trans man, I identify as a man, but I
Right,
was born as a female. That's basically
right,
what it means. There are different trans men all over the world. It's something that you can research. Some people do surgeries, some people don't do surgeries. It just depends on the person. A lot of trans men have a problem being called using pronouns like she, her. I don't really mind, and I can explain why. Growing up with deaf parents, we don't use pronouns, we use
right,
names. And from I was a baby, I was called Tony. So I didn't
right,
have to worry about pronouns until people started referring to me as such. But I don't mind if you call me she or he. It doesn't bother me, but it can
right,
bother somebody else. It will
right,
bother somebody else. So that's just a synopsis. Anyway, after that, going to Immaculate, I was asked to join etiquette classes with Miss Ashman. Big up Miss Ashman if you're watching.
big
I was
her up, I know her too.
I was asked to behave more ladylike. Hem up my skirt was too long. It needed to be shorter. I was asked to sit properly, eat properly, just to be a lady. I wasn't a
Right,
typical immaculate girl. So after that, left. I knew I was different, but I grew up in a home where my parents are Jehovah's Witnesses, and on my mother's side, so my father and my stepmother, they're Jehovah's Witnesses, but on my mother's side, they're Christians. My aunt is a pastor. I have another auntie who is a Mormon, but she's cool. Auntie Janice, big up. She understands. My grandmother Christian, so it was hard for me to navigate through that space feeling free because on one hand as a Jehovah's Witnesses, you don't celebrate nothing. So, you know, you have a certain path that you have to follow. Being gay is definitely not one of them. And then Christianity is the same thing. So when you're young, you feel it's awkward for me to go ahead and share this information where I'm going to be classified as a sinner. I'm going to be
Right.
classified as you need to change, you need to ask God to forgive you, and all these things. So I didn't inform my family. My aunt decided to send me to Florida, and I was studying to become a pilot. Um, but she found out that I was gay. Long story cut short, she stopped paying my school fee, and then she went ahead and told um my family. She told my grandma, she told my other aunties, she told my mother, and my mother then went ahead and told my father, because that's something from I was a child. My mother hides nothing from my father. So
Right.
everything is weird. And my
Right.
stepmother found out, and my grandmother, who was sickly, that's my father's mother, she found out.
Yeah,
And
everybody.
All right. So,
like,
stick up in Tony. So when she did all of that, her intention was to do what?
I feel, which I can tell you, was to ostracize me from my family. It happened. And honestly, I don't regret it. I had to grow up fast. I
Right.
had to grow up fast.
And that
So I
age,
don't
and that was
regret it.
at what age?
That was about 18, going on 19. So I don't regret it.
Right.
I had nowhere to live when I came back to Jamaica. I was living with my aunt. I had nowhere to live. I had to then live with a girlfriend at the time. I was depressed for months because imagine growing up with people that you love. Oh, by the way,
And
my
you
mom,
said she was a Christian, right?
yeah, Christian. My mommy is boss because when she found out, she came to my yard when I came back to Jamaica because she was living here, and she said it's true. And I said no. And she said it's true. I'm gonna say yes. She said so. And then she said she cussed them off and tell them say them a dog because them have no
And
skin.
so this was your first experience of acceptance.
Yes, my first experience of acceptance was my mother. And then my father, we went through, he's still in that denial because he's a Jehovah's Witness, which I understand. His beliefs is his beliefs, and I respect that. But my father had a long wait before we had a conversation. And when we had a conversation, he told me that he was disappointed and I need to change, and Jehovah is upset, and you know the whole
Right.
just perspective. And I told him that I can't change. It's who I am, you know. And
Right.
even now,
I just say that, Tony, because many people feel like it's a choice. You choose this. You got up one morning and you chose to feel the way you feel, and you choose not to be heterosexual. It's a choice. So give us just say a little bit on that choice for me.
it's not a choice. If it was a choice, as I said to Jeff all the time, who's my fiance, I said, listen, if it was a choice, I would have been straight. My life would be so
Much
much
easier.
easier. I would I imagine what a straight couple's life is like in Jamaica. They can
Hey,
purchase things together, they can do things together without being judged. If a sex tape come out, nobody in a business got them straight, and that's okay, that's the norm. But if a sex tape come out with me or somebody else, that's not the norm. We're crucified. I'm just giving examples of how easy it is to be straight. I'm sorry, I'm not standing because I'm so passionate and I'm talking at the same time. How easy it is to be straight. It's easy. It's easy for me to go and find a husband. Men still flirt with me, which is weird. It's weird to me for them to flirt with me because it's obvious that I'm not straight.
Mhm.
And I know that if if it was a choice, I would have chosen to be straight. And that's just
Right.
fact. I'm sure that's the same for anybody who is in my shoe. So after that happened, I came back home. I was depressed, wasn't working. Friends Mom, parents encouraged me. I need to find a job, whatever. I started working at JD, and then that's how I entered my career. I decided that even though people would tell me, "Hey, you need to change how you dress, you need to change how you look. It's not professional. You're a lady. You should dress like one." I didn't change because the
Right.
one time you change, that's when everybody expects it to be a constant. And I
Right.
have the same how I dress now is how I've dressed from when I was a child. My
Right.
parents never forced me, only when I was going to church or the Kingdom
Right.
Hall. My parents would force me to wear a dress. But other than that, school or that, I wasn't forced. I was allowed to wear what I want to wear. So from
Right.
a child, that's how I've been. And basically, that's it. Anything else you want to know?
Yeah. I'm going to come back to you. So let us get a little. Let us start off with Sekou's story.
Hey, what's up, guys?
I don't want to say a story because it's not a story, right? Sekou, it's your life.
Oh
So let
my,
us start off with
everybody,
Sekou's
everybody has
story.
a story. How do I put this?
Oh, no, I don't want to say story because I don't want to let them think that we're making up anything. This is your life, real life.
All right. Hmm. I've put some like caveats in there first.
Right,
Um, most people when they think of gay guys, they think of effeminate guys. So if you're thinking along those lines, then you'll think it's easy to spot somebody who is gay. Just by looking around you. It is definitely not the case. I tend to fall into the more neutral slash masculine category. So most people can't tell that I'm that way unless I wear my nose ring. Which they automatically assume.
because
When
your
I
body is amazing.
well
Amazing.
after a while I stop caring what people think.
Right,
Um, hmm. When I started to know I was different, I can't really put a finger on it because to me, I didn't really differentiate between attraction to girls or guys. I saw it as the same. So whenever attraction started, it's like both of them were equal to me. So I said, all right, I realizing that if you're growing up in Jamaica, you're from your before you come out of the womb, you're conditioned to know that you are supposed to like one bag of girl, one bag of
right.
girl, have one bag of woman, and that never really appealed to me. I was just into video games. Basically kept to like my small friend group. So I'm
Mhm.
basically a nerd. So
Okay,
I generally kept to myself all throughout, well, preschool, and then I went into high school. In high school, I realized that the attraction was there, but I'm just going to kill that side of me like it doesn't exist. So every minute I
right.
just started, you know what? Um, I like girls. So I said, all right, I'm just going along this path. It's that side of me. I just kill it and put it to the side. And then every now and again, it will just pop up. And then I said, all right, I just need to deal with this, get it out of my system. Meaning that I just sit down by myself and just deal with it.
Mhm. Is that
That happened.
because you didn't want to deal with
That
all
but
the
in
baggage
Jamaica,
you came with?
in Jamaica, when you realize that you're that way and everybody is telling you that way should die, and that way you should get killed, and that way you should get beat up, and you hear from your parents, but your parents don't know you're that way, but they're saying it off the cuff because that's what they're conditioned to think, and that's what they're
Right,
conditioned to say. So they're saying it, and they're not realizing that you're it. So it's like it's it's a form of child abuse, but they don't realizing they're abusing you because they don't know that's what you are. So they're assuming it's like everybody does it, life continues. So like if somebody obviously gay walking along the street, they say, yo, what about him and there or something like to that nature.
right,
And you're like,
right,
oh crap, that's sort of like me right there. But say, okay,
right.
as I said, I kill that version of me. So whenever I'm hearing it, especially it hurts, especially when you hear it from your parents or your loved ones or your friends who you're close to, you're like you get silent in the corner when they're talking about it, you're like, oh crap, they don't even know. So I'm in now university, study architecture, and mind you, I haven't had a girlfriend all this time.
Right.
Um, there has No, no girlfriend at all. And then almost to the end of university, I got in a relationship with a girl. Um, but that was just because we vibed. Both of us like we almost became like best friends, and
Right.
we knew each other. So we're in a relationship for 4 years. And every now and again, when it popped up in my head again in terms of attraction to guys, whenever I see a guy, I say,
Right.
all right, this needs to go. But it wasn't going away. And
Right.
then in all relationships, you go your ups and your downs, but it was one of the down periods. And I think this was the time where I just started to get into gym seriously. Um, and oh God, can I say this? Think about it. Oh, all right. Hey, hey. Um, all right. I was approached by someone,
Right.
but they weren't necessarily gay in their head, but
Right.
what they were saying were obviously gay things. But I wasn't processing that way. So I got these
So
text
maybe
messages. I like,
he was equally confused or put it like on the edge.
he was
Or
trying, or how do I put this? He was trying to say things without saying things. I was like, why
right.
is this guy sending me this? So I responded. I was like, oh, what's up? Text message, text message, text message later. My girlfriend at the time sees these text messages. I was like, what is this? Like, oh crap. I'm like, all right, I guess I need to come out. So I came out. I said, I think I have attraction to guys. She said, are you sure you're just not bi curious? Bi curious is just when there's say like a straight guy who has not necessarily a full attraction to guys, but are curious about exploring that side of
Right.
themselves.
Right.
Uh, I said, I'm not sure, but I don't want to put you through whatever that is because it's not fair to you. So I said, we
And
ended the
so you would
relationship.
say at this point, your attraction to males were definitely much stronger than it was for women. So you do
At
not consider yourself bisexual,
at
or
that
do you
point, I didn't.
consider yourself bisexual?
At that point, I didn't know.
Okay.
I couldn't because
And this was
I've
what
never.
age?
And that point, for me, this was at
This was
21, 21.
okay. Okay.
Um, but at that point, in because there's no conversation about being gay in Jamaica, you assume that
Right.
being gay is just about sex. So in my mind, it was just about sex. I'm like, until you realize you're in a relationship is not about sex,
Right.
but that's a different topic. I guess we can get into later. Um, so in my mind, all right, I just need to get it out of my system. But it wasn't about sex at that time. It was just about. It was almost like a deeper level of friendship I had with. I could relate to guys more. I could relate to girls. We like the same things. We could understand the same things, and I didn't have to put myself in another frame of mind to get into the headspace of what a lady is thinking. And
Right.
I was just more comfortable that way. So over the years of seeing what it is like, I'm more attracted to guys than girls. In fact, I'm not even attracted to girls anymore. And then
Right.
at that point, at about 24, I got into my first relationship um, with a guy. Not the same guy, just let you that
Right.
know. And we're in a relationship for about 2 years, and then he migrated. After that, basically single.
Okay.
Yep.
So
Oh,
what I
parents.
want to,
Oh,
yes.
coming out to parents. I never said
Right.
that part.
Right. So at what point did you say to dad or mom that, mom and dad, this is it, and what was the response?
All right. My parents are generally more open parents than the normal Jamaican. I was like
Okay.
lucky in that department.
Okay.
Although my father is pretty famous, but some people, if you know me, you know my father, I guess. I won't say his name, but hey, dad, what's up? If you're watching this, don't kill me yet. Um, I came out to my mom first. It's always easier to come out to your mother. I think
Right.
discussing. I think something came up where somebody gay was on TV, I believe, and she was saying something came up, and I think I didn't like what she was saying. I said, "Ma, that person is just like me." And she said, "What you mean me? That person is just like me?" And then I said, "Ma, I'm gay, right?" She said, "What?" She said, hold on. Give me a mind you, she's flying out in the next hour. She's
Right,
leaving the island in the next hour. She said, you're telling me this now? I said, sorry, but it just came out. I couldn't help it. She said, what? We'll talk about this when I come back.
right,
So she came back and she said, are you sure? She said, I said, yeah, I'm sure. I'm pretty sure about this. Are you sure? Because you're dating before. I said, yeah, I'm
right,
pretty sure I'm this way. And then still to this day, she has reservations about it because she fears for my safety. Because
right,
I've been stalked on more than one occasion. By both in the LGBT people and
right,
straight people. It's weird. Um, and she has met my ex before. Both of them get along well.
right.
Um, my dad, I haven't told him yet. Say, hey, dad, what's up? But my
Mm-hmm.
sister tell me that he knows. But he's all right, I guess.
Never,
That's my
never
story.
really, he never really had a conversation and say, hey, son, your mom said X, so let's discuss it.
No, she hasn't told him, but I know that
Oh,
he knows because of my sisters.
okay, okay. So what I want to find out is as you know, there are many misunderstandings about what would you say is the biggest misunderstanding, Antoinette? Well, Tony, let me call it.
Wh-
What would you say are some of the major misunderstandings that people have about being gay?
Your environment caused you to be gay. You were
Right,
molested as a child. You were
Hey,
raped. You were um yeah, experience something bad from either the opposite sex, so you don't want to uh be around them, so you have decided to choose. That's where the choice comes in. All of these things,
right.
the choice. People believe that it's your environment. um People also believe that, which I find weird, that it basically leads back to choice. It all
Right,
leads back to choice. People believe everything that happens led you to this point in your life. And
right.
one of the biggest misconception, I wouldn't even call it a misconception. I think the reason why people have a problem with gay people is because they don't think that gay people love. They think that it's sex. And when they're,
Get you.
especially in our culture, it's all about sex. So in their mind, they can't fathom a man loving another man or a woman loving another woman. Then probably feel say, oh, it's one of them phase there. Oh, one thing that I've heard is, oh, I go straighten you out. What does that
Right,
mean? That can't happen. That's not me. I won't enjoy you. I'm not attracted to you. You're not my type. People don't understand that. So I think the biggest misconception is really choice, because a
right.
lot of people feel, especially molestation and being raped, they feel like if you experience that, then that's why you're this way. Or if you didn't experience it, then your environment is how you grow, or how somebody treat you. Them never teach you properly. You hear all kind of rubbish. And I just want people to know it's not true. What is true is that I tell people I was born this way. If I wasn't born this way, then I don't know. Because it's not a choice. Because I tell you what, I choose to be straight. My life would have easier. Things would have happened so much faster for me. For
Right.
me, I was discriminated against, looked upon. People skin up them nose when them see me, like them smell feces. I've experienced so much. I've gone on the road and people say things like, oh, wait till me buck you and rape you around the corner and all them things. I've experienced Jamaica. And it's not sometimes I would say we're getting better, but I would also say there's a lot of people out there who hide what they feel. And that's because a lot of people are more open now. And some people are afraid to say something to you directly. So
Right.
a platform like this, they probably create a fake page, come up and say something, or go on your Instagram and say something. And honestly, those people don't bother me. When I got my award, the things that were said on
Wow.
the post, the things that were said, people are just horrible, horrible. And as honestly, as a gay person, most gay people know that. We have been through it. I have a friend, he's a gay man, and just like Sekou, you wouldn't notice he's masculine. And he told me one day he went to Heroes Park, which is free for all Jamaicans, because we are born here too. And a soldier go over to him and say, "Hey boy, man, me shoot you. What you do?" Just because he was sitting and having a conversation with another man who was a little bit more effeminate.
Right.
That's the kind of country we live in. That's what we have to face. It's 2021 and people still are skin up their nose. One time my fiance attack a man in the supermarket. The man turn around and say, "Hey, a funeral and my school." And we know it's a lie. We know it's a lie. That's what we face. I honestly, I work with government officials, and I tell you, nobody who I've worked with in the government has ever disrespected me. Never. My personal life never interjects with my professional life. That's the first.
Right.
So at work, nobody though say nothing rude or out of turn when they found out, because I never told anybody at Parliament. I did an interview with Faye Ellington on Profile
Right.
2 years ago, 3 years ago now, and it came up back again last year, and people thought it was the same interview. And I told her, and she asked me if I was ready to tell him. Yeah, when I went to work the following week, nobody. They just say, "Why you never tell we? Why you
Right.
never tell we?" And these are all older people. And some of them come and they will say things, "Oh, I respect you for being yourself," and blah, blah, blah. And I know that professional people, some spaces in Jamaica is safe enough. While other spaces, not so safe. You have to know how to pick and choose. But you see me, I tell you, I go anywhere in Jamaica because this is my country. I was
Right.
born here. I have rights to everything. I have a right to a union. I have a right to buy a house with my fiance and not worry about people asking what's the relationship. Why are you two buying a house together and treat us differently? I have a right, and Sekou have a right. And I tell Jeff all the time, probably we still have to leave. Because if I can't get those rights, it makes no sense. No sense.
What, Sekou, you have anything to add to that?
Um, I would agree that the biggest misconception is that it's a choice. I don't know which person in right mind, with sane thinking mind, would choose to go with something where you can get fired, where you can get killed, where your mother who you love all your life would kick you out of your house. Your father would say you're not being pitney. For what? What would be the point? What would be the literal point of me coming out and saying I'm gay for all those consequences to fall out on me? No person in right mind would want it. That's the first misconception I would say. On the male side, I think the next misconception, especially in Jamaica, is that only effeminate guys are gay. I know
Right.
many of bodybuilders, politicians, radio hosts, track stars, top track stars. I'm not calling name.
Right.
Who everybody celebrates, but they do not know. And because these people are living these, like, I watch them. I said they talk to me because I'm sorry. Most of my friends are straight. Me in that I live in I operate in the bodybuilding world, and most of those guys are hyper masculine guys. And because
Right.
I guess I lift as heavy as them and I behave like them, they generally want to talk to me. So
They
I don't
accept
really,
you. They
Fine.
are more accepting of you because you're not effeminate.
Well, I think it's not necessarily because I'm not effeminate. I was more like a gateway because they've never felt the courage to ask somebody, and
Right,
they didn't want to be labeled as gay.
right.
Which one will, as was said before, where the guy was in wait, guy, Hero Circle,
Yeah, heroes
and he was
bar.
Right.
talking to the feminine guy, and he automatically got labeled
Mm-hmm.
because I am like a bridge. They tend to talk to me. So I saying they talk to me. I say, how come you're so open about it? Because after a while of literally almost trying to kill myself about this stupidness, you realize that if I nearly kill myself, what is the point? What you can do to me at that point?
Mm-hmm.
Living living gay in Jamaica, you have to almost come to the point of, as if that you can lose a life at any point in time. Just because somebody feel like being gay is not it shouldn't be that way. And because
Before I
you're
before I take one of the questions though, what I want to ask, why do you think it's rather than dislike, hate? Why is it hate? What I don't understand. I'm trying to understand why
Dancehall make
there's a
me know,
feeling
man.
of hate
Dancehall.
versus just a
um,
difference. Because people don't like, some people don't like Chinese people, some people don't like Indian people, but they don't hate them, right? People don't, some people may not necessarily want to hang out with blacks, but they don't hate them. Why is there, you think, a feeling of hate? I don't get that.
church.
Thank you.
It is the church. It
Expound
is
on that, too.
it,
Expound on that.
it, it, expound. All right. You have
Yes.
been from your, as I said, from the womb told that Jesus is the savior, and everything what goes against Jesus, which was written in the Bible, aka homosexuality. Mind
Mhm.
you, shrimp and them the thing that in the Bible too, but the shrimps are edible, so I guess you can eat the shrimp. Um, and what other things they can eat?
Them,
Mixing linen and all of the thing there.
yeah, you're not
But
supposed to mix linen and certain little things, but nobody talks about that. Yes, go
and I
ahead.
think because of the church and the indoctrination and that homosexuality is wrong, and the fact that church was linked to slavery, and the fact that one of the tools of slavery was the
Church.
buggering the church and the buggering of to break to break a slave, you will need to bugger them and the male slave. So enslave, sorry. So if the church is saying that this is wrong, and they use and it's been cultured into us, it is the church, I feel, what causes Jamaica to have this antagonistic approach to gay people.
And isn't it funny? They have an antagonistic approach to gay people, but in dancehall, when them say man for a bag a girl, the Bible talks about fornication. People don't remember that. I mean, there are
When there's
things.
no
It's
hate
just
associated
funny.
with that.
It's funny that we accept what we choose to accept and say, yeah, this all right. We don't need to follow this, but we need to follow this. It don't make no sense. If you're gonna follow the Bible, you have to follow it 100%, which means as black people, we should still be slaves because there's a scripture in the Bible that talks about bequeathing slaves to your children. Slaves to your children. Yes, I'm well read. And so people, 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 if you're going to follow the Bible, follow it fully. Don't choose what you want, which means 100% of us all over the world, we are all sinners. A pastor told me once, I went into a church to do a service, and he looked me in the eye and said to me, I'm a sinner. Just by looking me up and down, I'm a sinner. Oh, what's that? You're trying to pull me in and tell me I'm a sinner? Where you do try drive fear in me, I'm not afraid. Thank God, God is not like man. Because if God was like man, oh boy, all of we would have dead. That's my belief. Because first of all, the Bible says don't judge. Who judges like Jamaicans?
I think the next reason
Go ahead.
I expound on the point is that a lot of parents put their entire self in their children, and if they're in other words, they invest all of their hopes and dreams into their children, and the children need to be a specific way in order to feel that they have reached in life. which is a part of, there's a socio-economic part of that, meaning that you're doing as much as you can to make sure your child is reaching the best they can be. They want to be the best lawyer, the best doctor, etc., etc. Also, you want grandkids and you want all of that jazz. But because you are now coming out as gay, you are breaking that line of succession in your family, in their heads. It's not necessarily true, but in their heads, you're breaking that I wouldn't say ego, but it's almost the
Tradition,
ego what you're
you're
putting
breaking
onto
the
your kid.
hope, you're breaking the
Yeah,
hope,
all of that.
the
And because you have broken
expectations.
your line, you have shamed them in other ways. In other words. And
Think
not,
shame has a
you're
lot
not
to do with
only
it.
shaming yourself,
Yeah,
you shame your mother, you
embarrassed.
shame your father.
Yeah.
They're meant to be embarrassed and they're going to be ostracized from society, just like how
Mm.
you were ostracized from society. So that's the next component, I believe,
No, but
is
it
a
also goes back also to them producing this quote unquote anomaly. I had something to do with this. Therefore, I either have the gene. No, no, no. No, 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 no. This is real. You
I
hear me
know.
talk about my picnic can't
I'm
be gay,
laughing because I've heard it. I know.
right? My picnic can't come gay because I'm a macho man and I train in this way. And this comes back to the fact that we still think of it as a choice. I'm no expert on it, and it's not something that I'm well read on. That's why I wanted your personal, stories. And I mean, I'm really feeling you this
but
evening. I'm really feeling both of you because
there are people say that there is
I have quite a few friends who are, and I mean, I've had the conversation, and some of them I've known almost all my life. I've never seen them in an exchange with the opposite sex. So, in my estimation, in my minuscule experience or exposure, I'm saying this has to be from birth at some point and not knowing if there was trauma. So, it's good to hear from both of you, right, that this was not as a direct result of any kind of trauma, because that's usually associated with, oh, something must have happened for them to change, or the parent always wanted a little girl, so them grow up them boy picnic like a gal,
that is definitely not my problem.
right? Exactly. So these are some of the things that I want to get out, to find out, you know, why I'm still not understanding hate though. I'm still not there,
But
because I can understand maybe you don't like, or uh you don't want to be associated with, or you you have a particular preference, but I still am having a challenge with hate, and even from Christians who, as far as I'm concerned, is supposed to love everybody. And as Christians, do we have a conversation as to, you know, how are you, how do you feel, how do you feel when you're attacked? Is there anything that I can, or any way I can come into your life to make a difference? I'm not getting that.
Let me say something.
Yes.
I agree with Sekou. It's hate. I'll say why. Jamaica has a lot of social ills. We have a lot of social problems. Classism. We have so many. Children being raped and molested by the same pastor. We have so many social ills. Abuse. Um, Domestic abuse is one of our biggest crime issues. It's not spoken about much, but it's big. It's there. And churches will set up big. Siko, tell me if I'm right or wrong.
Oh,
Big
totally correct.
gatherings in halfway tree just to focus on the fact that, for example, when J Flag was doing something, I don't remember what it was. They had a gathering to say no marriage allowed, no gay marriage, but it wasn't. The perspective wasn't about gay marriage. It was just talking about unions and allowing specific rights and whatever. That's what they do. So for me, that's hate because you hate me so much. You spend the time to go and arrange with several different church organization, umbrella group of churches. And you go and you set up and you say these things, and you know the society we live in already. You know our music is against being gay. You know that it started with your organization, the church. You know some pastors have kids who are gay, and them know.
Some pastors are gay.
Yeah, thank you. So
I've been,
for
I've been
me,
hit up by a couple.
that's how I view it. Hate. We have so many social ills. Classism is the biggest one. Where you come from, or you look, how you talk. That's a problem. And nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about the kid being raped 3 times a week from the pastor in the church. Nobody not talk about that. Everybody are focused on the wrong thing. That's my perspective. Gay people are normally two consenting adults. Normally. Not saying that bad things don't happen with gay people. Yeah, just like straight people. It happens. It's life. We have good and bad people, both who are straight and both who are gay. But guess what? Nobody now focus on that. Them have focus on me, a consenting adult, Sekou, a consenting adult, and still have it in law. Buggery in law. But you know, people always says against gay people, but straight people have buggery. They do buggery. They do it. So they should be locked up too. It's not a gay law. It's stupid. For
I think
me, I think we're so entrenched, as Siku said, in religion that we don't recognize how much you're hurting people and not giving people access to the same rights. A
I think
police.
I
Go
think it's
ahead.
not only people. I think it's not it's you're diffusing it when you say you're hurting people. You're hurting people who are relatives to you. You're hurting your kid, what you don't even know is gay.
Mm-hmm.
Or your cousin or your nephew who you don't even know is gay. Who you love to the days of the earth until you find out that them
If
gay.
I know
That's
it.
the real hurt what come from it. It's alright. You can hate somebody and it be bad enough as it is, but you hurting somebody what love you unconditionally is one of the deepest wounds anybody can get.
I agree.
Deepest.
I agree.
To the
And
point
guess
of
what,
child
Siku?
abuse.
I guess what, but guess what? I think it makes us stronger people. Honestly, I think it makes us stronger people.
But nobody wants to be strong every day, Tony.
Huh?
Nobody wants to be strong every day.
That's
Nobody
true.
wants to be strong every day.
That's true. And it
You'd
also,
like to relax. You'd probably want to relax one day. I mean, has anybody, I mean, persons who do not have the understanding, anybody ever come to you and say, okay, I don't understand this thing? Um, is there an explanation? Does anybody ever taken the time out to even hear what you have to say? Anybody?
My
I
my
would,
my
Or
my closest
just
friends,
assumptions have been made?
my closest friends have asked me about it, and because they're straight, as I said, most of my close friends are straight. So I had
Right,
to explain to them how, because they used to me dating a girl before, so they
right.
didn't understand why
One of
all of
our one of the viewers asked if you have ever tried to be in a meaningful relationship with a girl and how did that go?
I dated a girl for 4 years. We were in a
And it was
it
a
was to the
challenge to
point
you,
it was to the point of we almost got married and stuff.
but
So
it was really for you more of a friendship.
no, it was on a full on relationship at the time. We were going out everywhere. Every Friday we went to have dinner. We hung out all the time. She stayed at my house all the time. We practically lived together. She met my mom. We stayed over my mom. We live. we lived almost like a full on relationship. But there was always something in my back of my mind. What there's something wrong, and it's not. I'm not hitting the point what is wrong with me because I'm not
Right.
fully connected. And
Right.
at the point where we ended, I still didn't know. I didn't really fully find out and make come to realization what it really was until I got into my first relationship with a guy.
So for you, it was just a niggling feeling at the back of your mind.
It was just always there. I will never go away. I hope that answers the question.
Okay. Somebody else also asks, do you find it's easier to be accepted as a gay woman than it would be for a gay man?
I can't answer. I've never been a gay woman. I have.
In general, in
Um.
general, what are
I
your
think
views?
both of us can have our opinion on this, and you can start. Tony,
I
you can start.
I think so. I think because of our society again thinking in a sexual way, I think that for two women, depending if you're two feminine women, which happens
Absolutely.
in our society a lot, you'll have two feminine women. People assume that they're friends, but
Yes, because every man's dream is a threesome with two
yes,
women.
and they're thinking, oh, which probably would never happen. So
Right.
men, I think that's why it's more accepting. I'd say for women, um, bad experiences normally happen with again Christian women, not necessarily women who are open-minded or women who are straight or again it all goes back to religion. It connects back to there because it depends on the environment where you are. You'll find that people are more accepting and more tolerant of who you are as an individual. So even if you're a gay man or a lesbian or trans in a specific environment, some people will be, oh, they're acceptable of it. Oh, they're used to it. They're
Right.
open. But in some environments, you dare not touch. You dare not go there
Right.
because nobody accepts whether you are a woman, a man, or whatever. Go ahead.
Right.
Expounding on that point,
Sorry, go ahead.
I would say because men are more physical, when you get approached by men in terms of in an antagonistic way, they want to express how they feel physically towards you. So I feel like effeminate men almost get it the worst, um, because they're more visible and
Right.
they are seen as a bigger target than a more masculine, which you can't really tell unless they either tell you or they dress a
Right.
certain way, even though they're masculine. For instance, I've been approached in supermarkets because whenever I go out, I'm generally coming from the gym and I wear, how would I say this, extremely revealing clothes.
Right.
In terms of, I'm always in a crop top, and because
Right.
I'm always in a crop top or in a crop top and short tights, going into supermarket, the security guards generally don't want to let me in. And they attempt to not let me in. I say, you're going to stop me? And then they'll try to
But
stop me.
they would let in a woman in the same outfit.
Of course, they'll let you know woman in the same outfit.
Right.
So one instance is that a security guard grab onto the trolley and say, you're not allowed in. So I pull the trolley from him. I say, all right, what you going to do now? So he stepped away at that point because he realized that I wasn't moving, him wasn't moving, and obviously he can't beat me because I work out.
Right.
And then everybody else in the supermarket is looking at us at this point, and we start cuss, and I walk off into the supermarket. So at this point, I'm used to being physically approached by people on the streets because
Right.
at this point, I don't care. I dress how I want to dress, and if you can try to stop me, you can. But
Right.
generally, in uptown areas, people are more accepting.
Mm-hmm.
In less, less uptown, because in uptown, people more are exposed to gay people.
Diversity, yeah.
So
But it's
that's
everywhere
the main
though.
difference.
It's everywhere. It's not just uptown.
No,
It's
no,
just that persons maybe in a depressed area have to hold it down because of the backlash, the physical backlash, because they might be attacked. Whereas maybe in uptown areas, they are not going to physically approach you. But that's not the way we roll. We'd rather talk about you than physically attack you.
It's a
Yeah.
part of the classism.
Right,
Yes. Yes.
right.
Yes.
All right. So someone was saying, and Paul was saying, oh my, wouldn't it be awesome to have grandchildren from your son or daughter? What's wrong with that disappointment?
So who says you can't? There's
Yes,
so many
I've never.
things. Who says that you
Address
can't?
it.
There are so many different options now. You have surrogacy. You have so many things available. Why does it have to be physically my body? Why it can't be somebody else's body with my egg
And
and a
somebody heterosexual does that every day. They get other people to have their children. They're not gay.
thank you. Thank you.
So what's the difference?
Thank
It's
you.
not impossible. It's 2021. We can step up with the times. That's my answer.
Okay, so Andrea says, it is not only the church. She says, yes, the church has played a role in the hatred of homosexuals, but there is also a psychological aspect. Persons who are repressed homosexuals exhibit extreme hatred towards homosexuals to prove to themselves that they are not gay. What is your view on that?
I have a controversial view on this. I view that God, it's gonna sound weird, but all right. I view everybody has a potential to be gay. You just don't know yet.
Well, they say we all have
But
female and male. We have we have we have testosterone in our bodies and we have estrogen in our bodies, right? Both male and female. So some have an oversupply, some have more than others, some have less than others. So I am just off the top of my head, I'm saying, does the testosterone or the amount of testosterone or
uh,
estrogen have a role to play in how you feel physically? I'm not sure.
all right.
Would
To
you say
answer
that?
the question before we get into that,
Yeah,
I think a lot of people, as the person was saying, was hide that they're gay by being the most vocal about bashing homosexuality. It's a coping mechanism. They can't deal with that aspect of themselves. So just like how I killed that version of myself when I was younger, they
right,
are compartmentalizing that portion of their life in so that they can be as distant from it as possible. I have, as I said, I've been because I'm more on the masculine side. I've been around
yeah,
people who are conflicted in that department, and they would want to know what it really is, but they attribute being gay to be something physical, which when you're talking about testosterone and estrogen, you're
right,
attributing being gay to being something physical. And I'm saying
right.
I can't tell you that is something physical necessarily. It is it's the way you connect with somebody on an
I
emotional
get you. I
level.
get.
Because being gay is
I
not
don't think
necessarily
many
about
people
sex.
get that.
People people attribute gayness to being about having sex. It's not about sex. Sex is 1% of anybody's life. It is about how you feel with somebody
Connection.
else and existing and sharing yourself with somebody else. It just so happened that that other person is of the same sex or whatever suasion that
I
you are
get
in.
you. I get you. I get you.
For instance, I wasn't in a relationship for 24 years, a gay relationship for 24 years, but I still had an attraction. It wasn't about sex at that point because I wasn't having sex, but I still had that feeling there. So what necessarily you could there's some component what is physical. Of course, all
Right.
relationship has a physical component, but I'm saying
Yes.
it's more emotional connection than anything else.
But I would say from my experience or exposure, you have just like heterosexuals, you have persons who make being heterosexual over the top. Same thing in the gay world. You have persons who make being gay, meaning you're going to have sex at the drop of a hat. You meet somebody this minute and you back it up in a bathroom. That's how the movies portray it. Am I lying?
That's
Am I
how
lying?
they portray it. But what
That's how
we're
they
saying,
portray it.
what
That's how they
both,
portray it. Right?
yeah,
And so we are fed this information. And so when you said to me a while ago that it's more about the connection, I was like, oh wow, I never really thought about that, to be honest. Because the first thing comes to mind is physical. Because it's put out there as like you're like dogs in heat, in essence.
so
Pretty
straight
much.
people don't go and eat.
No, but that's what I'm saying. But it's not looked at in the same way. That's the point
It's
that
a,
I'm making.
that's a good point. It's
Yeah,
as I
it's
said.
not looked at in the same way. If you watch movies, you have gay clubs, you show them having sex right there on the floor or in the bathroom. You rarely see that in movies where you have
You
unless
are
it's a
you're
couple who
you're
wants
looking at
to
the wrong movies.
experience something. Huh?
You're looking at the wrong movies.
No, but that is where a lot of it comes from. People sit down in front of the television and you get a daily steady diet of what being gay is because we don't have any other experience or exposure to it.
But at that point, they're saying that the TV is turning their kids gay. Remember, that's the next
Well,
line they use. All
as
these
you
shows are
know,
turning their kids
it is
gay. Like,
said,
oh, my God,
as
that's the
you
most annoying.
know, it is said that there is an ongoing agenda currently, and I guess it started with Ellen, right? They say there's an ongoing agenda to make it normal. What is your view on that?
What
What
is
is normal?
normal?
What is
Normal,
normal?
mainstream.
What is
So that
mainstream?
a
My
child,
mainstream is different from your
let
mainstream.
me explain that. So that a child growing up will not have any issue with it because they see it as a viable option. Because, all right, let's say for arguments,
So
let's
before you
use
continue, what is
something.
the other viable option then?
Hold on, no. Let us use something a little bit more simplistic. For example,
Mm.
learning, let's say learning English,
Hmm.
right? We send our children to class to learn English because we want for it to be the norm. You speak English like it's your mother tongue, although many people struggle with English still because their mother tongue is patois, right?
Hmm.
What parents are afraid of is that in watching these things and having a steady diet of it, right, that it's going to turn their straight children.
Hmm.
Tell me if you disagree with me. You're going to change their straight children because what I'm hearing from you, this is how you feel from yay high. Without
Hmm.
the understanding, they're saying watching TV every day and watching how attractive or appealing it's being made on TV or wherever you watch it, whether it's TV or internet or wherever, newspaper or whatever, because they're making it. Hold on, because remember, we're coming from a stage where you were persona non grata. Think about where we're coming from, right? This is where we're coming from. And they were fine with that because you must stay in your place.
Hmm.
Yes? Yes? And so now, with, as you said, more understanding, right? And it being, I guess, more, people are now more speaking about it now, more easily and more comfortably.
Uh-huh.
People have a genuine fear that it will be their quote unquote normal children will find this lifestyle, because it's seen as a lifestyle choice. This lifestyle will now be, their children will say, well, that don't look so bad. So let me try it. Don't you think that's a part of the problem?
I disagree. I
All right.
disagree because
Tell me
if
what
that was so, then Sekou and I would be straight because we have been fed
you think. No. I'm
great
not saying what
information our
is enough.
whole life.
But no, I'm not saying what is enough. I'm
Yes.
saying what the fear is.
Oh,
What the fear is.
I
Not
disagree.
what.
I disagree because if again, you can't be. It's just like being straight. You know you're straight. You know what you like. It's the
So,
same thing
Tony, you're
as
not
straight
hearing me say no.
men.
You're not hearing
Mhm.
me say
All right. I go see if I can rephrase it. I
the
go see if I can
child.
rephrase it.
Yes, go ahead.
Right. What people are fearing is that, as you said,
Right,
the TV is going to make them gay because the shows are saying that it is okay to be gay and they're making it as the best life possible and it seems as just as good as being straight.
absolutely.
But
That that is what the fear is.
the fear, and I would say that
Fear.
fear
But the
is
fear is,
it's
huh?
based on the fact that your people are thinking one that is a choice.
Right.
It's the first
Absolutely.
thing. And
Right.
because they're thinking that choice, that's where that thing comes from. But just like
Absolutely.
how you knew that your husband or the guy what you're attracted to was always the person you're always like them for how they walk, how they talk, the what they're talking about, how he said it, how the little things what make up the personality of a person. That thing is not made by TV. It's made by going through life on a day-to-day basis and your innate temperament, your innate personality, and the outside world as it is, in terms of what your parents teaching you and what
Right.
there's a part component what you bring to the world and what the world imparts on you. The world
Right.
can't change who you are internally, but you can view the world differently from how the world interacts with you. I'm not saying that what the TV is doing is making you gay, and what I'm saying is saying
You more
they're showing
tolerable.
you that different people live out there differently than you, and it's just as
Tolerable.
Right.
okay as how you are living. It's just as okay as they are living. They're not harming you. They're just
Right.
live differently from you. So it's not necessarily
Right.
changing you to be to gay. It's just saying that there are other people who exist in the world who are different than you.
It's just
That's what
like
I get from it.
having a disability. One time years ago, people would hide their children with disability. And now they're
Right.
trying to mainstream kids. Why? So that people will be more tolerable. That's what really it's
Absolutely.
about. It's not about, oh, we're gonna make you gay. Or oh no, it's about accepting diversity. We live in a
That
diverse world.
that's a good point.
That's really what it is.
People with disabilities did not pop out of the TV, and the TV
Right.
didn't create people with disabilities. They always existed. Jamaica always had gay people. They just didn't tell you that they were gay. They are, as I said, many famous people in Jamaica,
Are gay.
representing Jamaica, who kill that side of themselves just to be a part of Jamaica. It annoys me when I see them on TV. It annoys me. I see the hurt in them eyes. I see the hurt
Mm-hmm.
in their eyes when they win the race. And they all
Right.
they say, yeah, big up the girl them at home. I say, you are such a liar. Anyway, life continues.
All right. So there's another I guess questions and statements. Okay, so Abba says, aren't there men who are real brethren, connected emotionally and mentally? However, they aren't homosexual. doesn't what makes you gay is that you are attracted to and have sex to your own sex.
Isn't that
All right,
what makes you heterosexual too?
that's a good
Because
answer.
you're having sex with the opposite sex. It's just a label. It's just a term.
No, I think they're making that
No,
statement based on what you
all right,
said,
all
Sekou,
right, all right.
about connecting emotionally.
Well, I'll explain what Tony is saying.
Right.
Just like how you have a close female friend you connect with on a special level, and you guys are brethren, you won't engage in them with them on a. There are things what you share with your spouse that you don't share with anybody else. It's not
Right.
about how I'm feeling. It's just they relate to you on such a deep level that it's not just, hey, I'm going through this. They're actually going through it with you. One,
Right.
there's a bridge between a friend and somebody who you're dating. Everybody, even if you're gay or straight, always have that bridge where you're bridging, including if you're straight, you have a bridging where you can relate to everything with. But you can't just see him in a way and say, yo, I can't just say I can be the most vulnerable you can be with this person. Because
Right.
being in a relationship is being literally as vulnerable as you can be with the next person and expecting love and only love. There- there- there's a break in. It's hard to say because when you're talking about it from in the straight world, it just is. In the gay world, it just
Let me
is.
ask you,
It's just
Sekou,
emotionally.
It just
because,
is,
because
right?
because because you said about the emotional connection. I want to clarify. You can also have a emotional connection to a straight man who is your friend. Yes? No, no,
All
no,
right.
not sexually, you know. Just like
No, no,
how
no.
we are,
I know,
like how me
I
and
know.
my girlfriend are besties,
Most of my
but we're
friends,
not straight.
most of my friends are straight, and I have connected them emotionally on that level.
Right.
But they're straight.
I want the clarity. I want the clarity on that.
But
So not
at,
because you are a gay male means that every man that you connect to on a emotional level or you like as an individual and you check for
but
them means that you're attracted to them physically.
and as I said, all relationship it has a physical component, but separate and apart from that point.
Absolutely.
I have been in a relationship is a deeper level of connecting. I have friends who are gay, and we
Right.
are friends, but we're not in a relationship.
Right.
In a relationship is a deeper level of vulnerability and connection with somebody else. So it's regardless, even though there are two parties which are gay, it's not in a relationship. It's not the friendship is not going to the point where you are emotionally invested totally with somebody else. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm
Yes.
separating being gay and straight at that point. It's being
Right.
emotionally invested and vulnerable with somebody else. On top of that, you are you're emotionally attracted to that person, you're
Right.
mentally attracted to that person, you're physically attracted to that person. So there are layers
Right.
of attraction. Different people have different priorities in terms of layering. There's hence you have like a sapiosexual or you have a different type of sexual people who are attracted to things initially. But
Right.
relationship, everything is built on layers. You have the attract physical, you have the mental attraction, you have the personality, you have all of that synergy flowing together.
Right.
So it's
Abba
not
says,
a friend can't
so what?
connect on all those levels.
Okay. Abba says, so what makes you homosexual is that you are physically engaged with your own sex. That's the only differential. Is that the only differential that you are engaging sexually with your own sex? Well, what you said was no. It's the emotional connection.
It's
If I understood it correctly.
it's a deep emotional connection.
Just like a heterosexual married couple or somebody who has been in a relationship for a long time, I'm sure it's not about sex only. I'm sure there are many layers to why they're together. I'm sure that they have become friends. I'm sure that there are things that are shared between the both of them that only the both of them know.
I
It's
can
Right.
understand.
right. It's not just about sex. And I think, again, back to my point, people focus on the sex. They're
Yes,
not
they
thinking
do.
about anything else. They're thinking sex, 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 sex. They're not thinking, oh, it's possible for love to be involved. It's possible for a real friendship, a real camaraderie in this relationship. And that's why they're together. Them just
Right.
look at you and think about your bedroom, which is private.
Right. Carla says, I'm a heterosexual woman and I'm not attracted to every man I see, nor do I have sex with every man I meet. Homosexuality doesn't meet promiscuity, which was what I was saying earlier. That's how
Right.
it's portrayed in
Mm-hmm.
society that homosexuals are promiscuous. That's the image that you have out there. But then you know people who have been in long term relationships, steady relationships, doing much better than heterosexuals. So I my I'm trying to understand why is it seen as such uh, a challenge of understanding that these two people want to be together, and why is it that we persons are so against and so angry? Why don't people just do their thing, live their lives? Many are living unhappy lives, but they focus on your lives. I'm trying to understand.
It's a hard question for us to answer because it's not really our question. It's
No,
everybody
it's
else's
not. No, that
question.
was just a statement, really. I'm still
Um,
trying to understand why the excessive amount of obsession. I see it almost like an obsession because I
um,
don't see a level of obsession with men who have multiple partners or women who have multiple partners. I don't see that level of obsession.
I think it's because they see it's different from the norm, and because it's different from the
It's
norm, and
different.
it's seen as the worst type of different from the norm, they can't process it. They can't process it. They can't sit down and process it. They can't sit down and ask somebody about it. They can't sit down and because might be seen as labeled as it, and they get caught up in this whole label as being gay. So they can't. They don't have the courage, in my mind, to ask about it and not fear being labeled as it.
Tony, if you had a wand and you could wave it and live in an ideal world, what would you want that to look like?
Oh boy. You have me stuck here because I have to think about the deaf community. I have to think about myself as an individual and how I live. And I have to think about just family, friends, and how they are living. So for me, the ideal world is just acceptance of diversity. Um, I I tell my fiance all the time the only people I have problems with are pedophiles because I believe kids should be left alone, allow them to grow, and um people who, you know, bestiality, right? Animals should be left alone. They're
Mixing
animals.
animal and human.
Right. So those are the two things that I can't understand, will never understand, and won't accept. But everything else, there is an opportunity for difference. And sometimes we as people, because again, back to the environment, because of how you were raised, you're
Right.
stuck in a box and your box is so limited that you're yet to recognize the diversity that is out there. So I would just want a tolerable, diverse world where people are allowed to be people and accepted no matter who they are. As long as it's not the two things I recently mentioned.
So,
That's just
so
my
do you or would you go to church now? And what is your view on going to church or spirituality for that matter? Spirituality on a whole,
well,
in
funnily, I
general,
am a spirit.
without putting a
Yeah, I'm
label
a
on it, meaning Anglican, or Methodist or Jehovah's Witness, or without putting a label on it. Spirituality and God. What's
I'm
your
a
view?
I'm a spiritual person. I believe in God. One of my favorite things to say is thank God God is not like man. Um, I believe that we were all here for a purpose. I believe that, you know, God made us. It's impossible for us to make everything that was provided here on earth. So that's where my belief stems from. And again, you can say, and I guess you can say environment influenced that. But I also believe that God is love first and foremost. And if you're to follow the Bible, it says God knew you before you were formed, even in the womb. So that means God knew me, God knew Sekou, and He knew who we were going to be. So
Right.
I accept that and I accept being gay, and I know for a fact that if God is there, God love me because He made me. He ordained me to be here right now in this position, and that's just my belief. A lot of people will look at me and say, "Oh, well, you believe in God and you live that quote unquote lifestyle." But again, Jeremiah said it, and me say it, the Bible said, I knew you before you were formed. I knew who you were going to become. So why should I change myself to please society? It makes no sense.
And if there was one thing that you'd want people to know about you, separate and apart from that you're a master signer and and you have your OD, what would you like somebody to know about you personally?
Um, Personally, I love well, I'm kind of a nerd. My fiance got me a PS5. I stay home most of the
Sell out
times when I'm
Xbox
working.
One.
When I'm not working and I play my PlayStation 5, I read from time to time inspirational books. I like to watch Netflix and chill with the wife. That's basically it. I love to go out to, like, I love the beach. I think that's one of the best things about Jamaica, our beaches and our rivers. It's nice to just go out and relax. But basically that's it.
So cool.
Xbox One.
Same
Just
question.
saying.
Same question for you.
Um,
Can
the last
connect
question
to.
are all three questions.
All three.
Um, if I could waiver one, I think that being gay in Jamaica is, well, gay kids are in Jamaica are being have a disservice because a lot of them I find only attribute being gay to having sex, and which I feel because they're being emotionally stunted in that department, and the only avenue of being gay is porn in essence. In a sense, I
Right.
don't think they can properly navigate the feelings what they're going through, which can lead to people preying on them in that vulnerable state. So that's the greatest because I have been approached by several 14, 13, 12-year old boys who see having sex as what is
Right
being
and
gay.
passage.
So I have to tell them, dude, this is not what it is about. You need to first process the feelings what you're going through and save sex for when you're an adult. I think
Mhm.
because they have no avenue to tell someone like their parents about it, they have less of access to be protected as a gay youth. So that's one of
Right.
the if I had a one to wave, I would say they there needs to be a greater acceptance and avenues for the gay kids to have someone to talk to of how to process um being gay. As I said, a lot of straight people attribute it to sex, but a lot of kids attribute it to sex, which I find distressing. Um, what was the second question? Again, I don't remember the second question.
Church. Do you go to church
Oh,
or
I don't believe in God. I don't believe in church. I don't believe in God. So I'm an atheist.
or
So
you
that means
are
that don't apply to me.
okay?
And what was the last
And
question?
you came to this realization. Did you go to church as a child?
Yes, yes. I used to go to
Or
church
is
as a
there a
child.
reason why is there a reason why you
Um, because
decided that?
I think religion is a man-made thing. I think people created religion so that whatever the ideology they had in their head can be imparted and onto other people, and then hence used as it's the ego. In other words, it's an ego trip to me, and I'm not really about it. Um, Generally, I tend to swim against stream. Pun intended. Um, so that didn't really appeal to me, religion wise.
And what would you like somebody to know about you that probably they don't know about you?
Xbox One is a better system than the PS5.
No.
Uh,
I not go from a PS5 in a
Xbox One is white over there. um, I'm also a nerd. Um, hmm. Being gay is not the end of the world. I would tell you, anybody who is gay who is struggling with that right now, it's not the end of the world. By nature, because you're being hated against so often, you tend to be an overachiever. Embrace that overachieving side of yourself. Um, you can become anything you want to be. For instance, I've built designed several of the buildings around Kingston, like 20 South, and a next one coming around
Oh, that's
Wellington,
awesome. Oh,
the
you did
super
spread
high
out.
rise.
Nice.
So it's not the end of the world, and you have people who have other distinctions over there.
Right.
Although they have the
Yeah.
wrong system, they have the wrong system, and they have the wrong outlook and the wrong gaming system. But that's okay. We can forgive PS5s. Um, I'm also I'm a big nerd as well. I like science fiction books as well as shooting games. So that's a little bit about myself.
Okay. Well, this has been an awesome conversation. I what my takeaway, my personal takeaway from this whole conversation was that it's more about personal connection. Because really and truly, as I said, my whole experience or exposure, it's always pushed on sexuality. Because that's what
Mhm.
you always spoken about. Your sexuality. What is your sexuality? It doesn't there's no mention of emotional connection. It's assumed, but there's no real talk about the emotional aspect of being gay and what that means. So I want to really thank you for your honest, open, at times candid way of allowing us to be in your world. You, Tony, you, Sekou, I really appreciate the fact that you took the time out to explain to us what it means to be gay and living in Jamaica. And I just want to throw it out there to the wider society. Being different does not give persons the right for somebody else to be different. It doesn't give them the right to hate, right? And I would like to encourage persons to get a full understanding of things that you don't know, right? And I don't know why it would be that many persons feel like they have a direct line to God and some people shouldn't have a direct line to God. As a Christian, I don't even understand that, right? Everybody were born on equal footing, and I'm thinking that a lot of the hate in society we are reaping from the whole violence in our society today. And I just want to encourage people to get to know people and be more open and understanding of persons' differences. Also, focus on self love.
Mhm.
Because if you love yourself, there is no way that you can hate other people. There's no way. Love and hate cannot survive in the same environment. It can't. It's an impossibility. It can't exist in the same environment. So I want to say, rewatch this program if you didn't watch it from the start. Listen to these personal stories. Don't take everything that you read and you see on TV as gospel. Find out for yourselves on a more personal basis. And let us live in love, eh?
Um,
Yes,
one thing. I would say, if you want to have reach out to people who are around you. It's easier to get a deeper understanding
right.
of being gay versus from people you know. See, because you have a point of relation. A TV is just a
Inanimate object.
hyper created exaggeration of what's usually exaggerated version of what being gay is. Being you can talk to somebody you know. If you're not, you can reach out to one of our social media handles. I guess we can answer questions if you have further questions.
You had said something earlier, and I didn't know what it quite meant about. You were saying that you didn't you had an issue with the LGBTQ um, community as well. You were saying that you had issues.
I'm
You had
saying that there's a lack of because there's such a stigma about it in Jamaica. Gay youth
yes,
don't have the access to have questions about the emotionally resolve issues what they're having because they have no outlet for it. It creates
right,
dangerous environments where predators can um take
very valid
advantage of it.
point.
And because if they can't talk to their mother, they can't talk to their father, they can't talk to their pastor, sometimes the wrong person talks to them. And because I think there needs to be an outlet for that.
Absolutely,
That's my issue. It's not an issue with LGBT people.
right.
It's an issue with not being able to talk to somebody when you're young about those feelings what you're having.
Right.
Somebody who understands it.
I think that needs to be discussed in school with the guidance counselor. They need to be more open. Now is the time because a
But
lot of kids are
you're going to
suffering.
hear that you're indoctrinating them. That's what you're going to hear, though.
No, no, not. I don't mean because I know that they had a book one time that caused a whole big chaos in Parliament talking about gay people. I don't mean that way. I mean if a child comes to you and say, "Hey, I'm struggling with this," you as a guidance counselor should not be preaching down that child and say, "Oh, God say and God say." You should be listening and trying to offer words of encouragement.
Amen, sister. Awesome. So, is there? Let me give you a last chance to say anything.
I thought
Anything
the question.
burning before I go?
No more questions from anybody else.
Well, let me see. Kamoi says it was amazing. Nadine says religion is a man-made thing, but relationship with your creator is vital. Um, Mark, I believe he sent some link speaking about, well, I guess Mark is talking about family and the whole homosexuality and Christian views. So he must have downloaded this website link from
Okay.
something that he wanted. Nadine says love conquers all.
Ain't that even so?
Ava says I'm really grateful for this dialogue so I can have a better understanding and be able to figure out how life is for gay folk. Um, what other good show, Sandra? Peace and love to your guests. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Good night and congrats to all. Yeah.
Likewise.
Okay, so that's basically in a nutshell. You had mixed views, but everybody was
That's okay.
appreciative of the exchange. And I thank you so much. Guys,
Uh,
much
that's
love.
much fun.
Yeah,
All
man.
right,
Thank you
much
so
love.
much.
Uh,
Again. And I'll
good.
post it to you so you can get to watch and go through and post it on your page as well. Okay?
Thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you so much. I really appreciate it. Really.
no
Uh,
Love
problem.
and blessings. And so next week we meet same place, same time with another very interesting conversation. Conversations that we need to have, not necessarily want to have, but that we need to have a better Jamaica, live and to live in love and harmony with each other. And so until next week, same time, 8 p.m. sharp at www.youtube, sorry, not, excuse me, youtube.com/the total mail. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.